You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
What if Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame really weren't what you thought they were about at all? What if I told you that Thanos' plan wasn't really his plan, and that he was just a mere puppet to a much greater and more powerful cosmic entity, Galactus? We all know that the future of the MCU is heading towards the cosmic future, and it's pretty much all but confirmed that Galactus is coming, and it appears that Thanos could have simply been doing his dirty work in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. In this video, I'm going to go over several key points that make us believe that Thanos was actually the Herald of Galactus, and now that he's gone, Galactus is on his way. There are many reasons to think this. Thanos actually operates just like a Herald of Galactus would. He wielded infinite power but then destroyed it. Why? And that unexplained sword that he had in Avengers Endgame makes sense now too, with Thanos being Galactus' herald. The Marvel Cinematic Universe does nothing by accident. Everything is intertwined. That's the beauty of the MCU. And if you don't think that Marvel set up the future of the MCU during Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, I'd consider rethinking that. Thanos was the perfect villain, and obviously Marvel was not going to do a shot-for-shot remake of the Infinity Gauntlet saga where Thanos was killing half of the universe to impress Lady Death. Instead, they created a new story arc for Thanos, one that made him an even more perfect villain. He was calm, cool, collected, powerful, led an army, he had never killed any of the Avengers unless he had to, and he had strong conviction. But what was his conviction in? His plan doesn't really line up with why he is supposedly saving the universe, and maybe that's because it's not actually his plan. If it were Thanos' plan, it would be extremely flawed, and the Mad Titan is a genius, so that's really not likely. Screen Rant has pointed out a major flaw in Thanos' plan that nobody has seemed to examine yet, and that flaw is that in his approach to wipe out half of the life in the universe in a single instant, or balance it as he says, fails to take into account the rate of which the population of the universe is growing, which is exponential. For example, take Earth, which has a population of somewhere around 7.7 billion. So if Thanos cut it in half with a snap, then he reduced it to 3.85 billion. Now, this was the planet's population in the late 1960s. That means that it only took 58 years for the planet's population to grow by 3.85 billion people. Now, obviously, the snap will have set humanity back a little bit, but as we saw in Avengers Endgame, just through the 5-year gap, people have already begun to recover and move on. This means that the population numbers will soon again rise, and it probably won't be at the exact same growth rate, but you can expect the population to double between 60 to 100 years. This means that Thanos' plan didn't really fix anything at all, it simply delayed the inevitable for about 60 to 100 years. And that's just Earth. Some other planets will grow much quicker. And Thanos would have had to have known this, especially since he clearly understands the growth rate of the population since he is seeking to destroy half of the life of the universe based on the fact that it's growing too quickly for its resources. And to make matters worse, he destroyed the Infinity Stones, and he did this willingly, saying that they provided nothing more than a temptation for others who would seek to reverse what he had done.
He used the stones to destroy the stones. It nearly killed me. But the work is done. It always will be.
The snap was just a temporary fix, and Thanos had to have known that, but then he destroyed the only thing that could do it again. Even by his own logic, he had not saved the universe, he simply delayed the inevitable. And the reason for that is, he wasn't actually trying to save the universe. He was simply preserving it for about 60 to 100 years to give somebody more time to show up. Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds. Thanos was simply reducing the population of the universe so that the planets didn't die like Thanos' did. That way Galactus could take his time going planet to planet, feeding off of the life energy that they give. And there is evidence that backs this up. As I mentioned before, Thanos actually operates in a very similar way to the way that the Heralds of Galactus operate. Galactus chooses heralds who he grants partial access to the power cosmic, who he charges with the task of going out and finding planets for him to devour. The herald that Galactus chooses is typically already an extremely powerful being, which of course we know Thanos is, being part eternal and part deviant. In Avengers Endgame, he managed to take on 3 of the mightiest Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor, who is a god. Thor even had Stormbreaker, and Captain America even had Mjolnir. But Thanos still single-handedly managed to defeat them. This is a power level comparable to some of the Heralds of Galactus, such as Nova, the Silver Surfer, and Tyrant, just to name a few. It's also worth noting that in Avengers Endgame, Thanos wielded a weapon, a very mysterious, double-edged sword that nobody could figure out. There was a lot of talk about it before Endgame came out, because it was never mentioned before, and in Avengers Endgame it wasn't even addressed. But we do know that it was able to break Captain America's shield, which is made out of vibranium, which is supposed to be indestructible. It was even able to take on Thor's Stormbreaker, which, if you think about it, is very interesting. Stormbreaker was supposed to be the greatest weapon of all time, forged for the king of Asgard by the dwarves of Nidavellir. It's made out of Uru metal, which is even stronger than vibranium, and is supposed to be the strongest metal in the entire universe. It has the power to summon the Bifrost and even has the potential to destroy planets. So this is a very, very powerful sword, and clearly there is some story behind it. There have been many different theories about Thanos' sword, but the truth could very well lie with Galactus. As I mentioned before, Galactus grants a portion of the power cosmic to his heralds, and some of them are even given weapons to help them channel the power cosmic, giving them insane abilities that come with these weapons and items. Obviously, the most notable of all of the items that have been given to the Heralds of Galactus is the Silver Surfer's board. Much like Galactus gave the board to the Silver Surfer, it's very well that Galactus could have given Thanos his double-edged sword. This would also explain why we never saw Thanos with the sword in Avengers Infinity War. When we saw Thanos for the first time in Avengers Infinity War, he already had the Infinity Gauntlet and the Power Stone. Once Thanos got the Infinity Gauntlet, that could have been what he used to harness the power of not only the Infinity Stones, but the power of the Power Cosmic as well. This could be why we never saw Thanos' sword in Avengers Infinity War. The sword served a purpose of harnessing the power cosmic that Galactus gave Thanos, but as soon as he got the Infinity Gauntlet, it harnessed the power cosmic and all of the power that came with it instead of the sword. And Galactus could have actually been the one who told Thanos about the Infinity Stones in the first place. Thanos clearly saw that the universe was destined to be doomed, which meant in turn that his master, Galactus, would eventually die as well. Galactus could have told Thanos about the Infinity Stones and charged him with the task of slowing down the population growth of the universe. That way Galactus would have enough time to go about the universe consuming planet after planet, not having to worry about any of them dying before he got to them. And the Infinity Gauntlet could have served more than one purpose for Thanos and Galactus. Yes, it was a way for Thanos to eliminate half of the life in the universe or slow the population growth down, but let's not forget that Thanos destroyed it. Again, even if it was Thanos' plan to eliminate half of the life in the universe to save the universe, it was a very flawed plan, and Thanos would have had to have seen that. And if it was truly his destiny, why would he risk not having the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones around to be able to protect himself and protect his plan in case somebody tried to undo it, aka the Avengers? Especially since they have gotten in the way of some of his plans in the past. So destroying the Infinity Stones was completely irrational and unlogical. And that's just not how Thanos works. He's a very logical and rational person. So why did he destroy the stones? Well, it's probably because his mission was done. Not his mission to save the universe by killing half of the life in it, but his mission to slow down the growth rate of the universe so Galactus could have time to arrive. Every time that Thanos used the combined powers of all 6 Infinity Stones, he generated a surge of cosmic energy that could have served as a beacon to Galactus, drawing him into a new feeding ground. And then when he destroyed the Infinity Stones, that could have been the ultimate signal to Galactus. A signal that says, "I have completed my mission, Master." And the instruction to destroy the Infinity Stones most likely came from Galactus as well. If Galactus told Thanos about the power of the Infinity Stones, then he knows that the Infinity Gauntlet with all of the Infinity Stones combined is probably the only weapon that could actually defeat Galactus. So Galactus' final order to Thanos could have been to use the Infinity Stones to destroy the Infinity Stones, which is what Thanos did. That way there would be no way to defeat Galactus when he would show up. Galactus is said to be the next big bad villain of the MCU that could arrive within the next 10 years. And even if all of these connections weren't done intentionally, it's very clear that there is a way to retcon Galactus into the MCU and have all of the events throughout the Infinity Saga connect to him. Which of course that's what Marvel will do because that's what the MCU is. Thanos could have very well been the Herald of Galactus. He was simply preserving the population long enough so Galactus could arrive and devour the planets himself. If this is true, then the Avengers will definitely have their hands full when they go up against Galactus within the next 10 years of the MCU. They will definitely definitely need the help of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four if they want to have any type of chance of defeating him. So let me know what you think about this theory in the comments down below. Do you think that Thanos could have been the Herald of Galactus in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame? Also, don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed the theory and subscribe to my channel so you can enter my giveaway for a chance to win an Xbox One or a PS4. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.